Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnetdale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnetdale, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers.
It's us.
It's a podcast. Two queer trans women, that's us, the wifey types.
Yeah.
Have a silly little catch-up about how we're doing, and what media we've consumed in the week.
Mostly about the media we consumed during
That
the
is,
week.
that is most of what it is.
Media.
We consume a bunch of media, and then we stop and have thoughts about it.
Yeah. Have you consumed any good media this week?
I've consumed some media. I think some of it was good.
Yeah.
Some of it was differing qualities, but some of it was good.
What was delicious upon your gaming plate this week?
So yeah, things I've played. I am continuing to sort of plod along through playing 1000X Resist.
Yes.
It's not a usually long game, but because I'm playing it on stream, I've been playing it over the course of a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That game is fucking phenomenal. The writing in that game is amazing. The first time we talked about this game, I talked about it from the perspective of like, oh, this is a really interesting story about like a sci-fi fantasy parallel for like early COVID and the ways that like people in minority groups will sometimes throw other members of that minority group under the bus in order to be like, I'm one of the good ones, come for me last.
Mm.
We're talking about it now again. The most recent session of it I played touched on real-world tactics that police use to try and manipulate confessions out of innocent people.
Right.
It touched on the ways that attempted assassinations to change political regimes often don't succeed, because if you assassinate a bad political leader without a plan in place for what you're going to do afterwards, all you really do is create a power vacuum for someone else to step up into.
Mm.
This was in the case of like 3 hours. We had like lengthy section of the game doing introspection about like protesting and how even in the moment, if it feels like your protest does not change back the thing that you want changed back,
Yeah.
it is still really important to protest, if for no other reason than if you protest loudly and visibly enough that like a record of that is made, you forever change the history books so that it is noted that the changes did not go down without a fight and that there was pushback, and that will forever have an impact on future generations. Like, you might not finish the fight, but the fact that there is a record that you fought back is a really important part of passing that torch on to the next people.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I sit down to play this game, it becomes a really good, high-quality examination of a completely different thing in one very cohesive story. I had conversations while playing it with people in Twitch chat about, like, would this game have worked better? Like, did this game need to be a video game? Could it have been told as, like, a film or a TV series and worked better?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it had to be a video game. It's kind of a janky video game. It has relatively little interaction in it, and the interaction that is there is sometimes a bit janky and a bit awkward.
So
but
it's
it is
closer to a visual novel, then?
Yeah, like most of the time it is a voice-acted visual novel with occasional kind of janky walking around to find stuff scenes, or your scenes of like floating through the air, Gravity Rush style. And most of the time the gameplay elements feel like they're, if anything, kind of padding to the narrative. But there are moments where this story makes really good use of the fact it's interactive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, without getting too much into specifics, there is an extended scene in a ongoing interrogation of someone is very clearly trying to manipulate you into admitting, like, giving a false confession to a crime you did not commit.
Right. And
just the act of having dialogue options, and you are in control of whether you give in to that or whether you continue to resist the things being placed in front of you, fundamentally is really important to that story. Like, I don't think I would be connected to this story the same way if not for having to go, I don't believe a fucking word you're telling me, cop. I am not going to give you what you want. And having my realization of, like, I can see exactly what's happening very transparently here. You are making promises to me that, like, you will never keep. the only reason I'm alive is because you need this false confession out of me. The second I give you this false confession, you've got no reason to keep me alive. I am going to keep resisting.
Yeah.
And being
1,000 times.
I honestly, at this point, I feel like by the end of this, I probably will have had to resist about 1,000 times. But yeah, just that little bit of interaction with having to, particularly with acts of resistance, having to be interactive there. I do really think that as janky as the game elements of it are, it's important they're there. Apparently, like, I've got about 2 or 3 hours of play left, so by next week I should have finished it and be able to talk about it more completely, but goddamn, every time I sit down to play this game, it keeps completely subverting my expectations of where it's going, and it's very well written and acted. It's fantastic. 1000X Resist is very good.
Yay!
I feel like when it comes to like doing my Game of the Year awards this year, this is probably going to be a shoe-in for best game from a previous year I only found out about this year. It's real good. What about you? What have you been playing this week?
I have been playing a game called Trash Goblin.
Oh yeah, I know this one.
Yeah, it was in last year's Accessibility Summer Showcase.
Yeah, it was.
So yeah, I picked this up. This released a little while ago. It was recently on sale. And I was like, you know what, I'll finally get around to giving that a try.
Yeah.
I enjoy the core loop of it, for the most part.
Yep.
I, appreciate just, someone comes and asks for a thing, and you can be like, yeah, hang on, I'll just keep bashing rocks until I get one of that thing.
I'll sit and chisel away the unnecessary bits until I have the thing, and then I hand you the thing.
Yeah.
It's quite a soothing little, here is my shape made of cubes, I just sort of remove stuff until I've revealed the thing.
Yeah, and, obviously you meet some quite interesting characters.
Yeah.
But it gets to a point where it just sort of, runs out of steam.
Yeah.
You're not really getting any important plot stuff. You're just keep doing the same thing until you have enough money to buy the next upgrade for your shop.
Yeah.
And it feels like there is space, because I think it's still in early access.
Yes.
It feels like there is a lot of space for stuff that is due to come.
Yeah.
But there is no sign of right now, so I have basically put it to one side and gone, I will wait until it is more complete.
I know there is more stuff coming. I'm in a similar position with you with it, where I'm like, when I am doing that core loop, it's a very calming, tactile loop to be doing. I've played enough of it to go, I enjoy the core thing, and I kind of want to play it when it's finished.
Yeah. I feel like there is an amount of game there now that if you just want to experience that core gameplay loop, you could probably play it until it became tedious.
Yeah.
But maybe don't do that.
Well, the thing I've done is I've dipped in and out of it a couple of times and, gone back, just to not let myself get to the point where it gets tedious. And it's been kind of nice to dip in and out of.
Yeah, and I put, 20 hours in over the course of a week, so it got to where it was like, look, there's nothing happening. I'm meeting the same people, they're giving me vague, quite early on, you meet, you'll keep meeting new characters, they've never been there before, or if you have seen them again, there is an escalation to their story, but the further you go on, it's just you're not really saying much that's exciting on you.
Yeah.
And you can see from things like the fact that it's this will take one portion of time. It's okay, you're telling me that takes one portion of time. So you're saying that at some point there will be something that takes more than a portion of time? Because I haven't experienced that yet, and maybe I would like to. Maybe I would be curious what really big thing that needs to be chiseled out that will definitely take a load of time to do, what that look like.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it, but I definitely want to probably uninstall it and just keep an eye on the news ticker for it's had an upgrade, an update. Oh, I'll pick that up. But yeah, Trash Goblin. It's a nice core loop. Play it enough, but not too much, and wait for updates.
Yeah.
What about you? What else have you played?
I finally started playing a really interesting new RPG that came out called Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
Ooh.
This game's whole narrative and vibe and concept is fascinating.
Yeah, I hear a lot of things about this.
Yeah, this is an incredibly French JRPG, where the idea is, for the last 67 years, there has been a big countdown essentially appearing on a mountain, and once a year, this giant figure called the paintress, or the paintress, I think, she paints a number on the mountain, and once a year that she'll paint the next number, and that number is going down once a year. It started at 100, the next year it was 99, the next year it was 98.
And when everyone's a little bit worried.
And when she writes the number, anyone who is that age or above instantly dies. Just turns to dust. Initially, not an immediate concern, but it's been getting lower and lower, meaning that, like, the oldest a person can be is getting dramatically younger.
Right. So you're saying that even, like, at this point, like, it just becomes a rule. Oh, you've had your birthday. Well, blow out your candle and turn to dust.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So, like, we've reached a point, this has been going for, like, 60 plus years. The number is now 33. There is no one on the planet left who is older than 33 years old. And you start realizing that, like, the world, like, the problem that's going to exist is that it's not even that there's 33 years of time left to fix this problem. Because at a certain point, that number's going to get low enough that the people that are left aren't having children, so you're not getting new people coming in, so essentially, like, 2 years worth of people are going to be dying off each year. Like, this is rapidly approaching the point of no return.
Yes.
So you are part of an expedition, and for, like, many years now, every year an expedition will go out who are trying to get to that mountain and do something to stop this number going down.
Yeah.
Be it defeat the paintress or whatever else, whatever the answer is, because this is unsustainable. So you are part of an expedition of people that are this year's group going out to try and stop this.
Right.
Your party includes a bunch of characters, but, like, the main two you're introduced to early on are Gustav, who is 32. This is his last year alive. By the end of this year, he's either going to turn 33 or the number's going to change to 32. Either way, he's going to be dead.
Or mysteriously, the number this year starts going back up.
I mean, probably not without expedition intervention, I would imagine. But him, his younger adoptive sister, and a bunch of other people. The fact that it's his adoptive sister is, like, again, one of the interesting things about this world building. Like, even very early on, there's a lot of interesting conversations brought up by the game about, like, what a world like this would be like. There is really high amounts of, like, adoption and fostering and, like, trying to find people to look after the younger generations because so many of their parents have died off. Trying to work out, like, what structures can the adults put in place so that once this number starts getting real low, that there's something to, you know, be in place for, like, the younger people left to keep them going as best they can. It's really hard to find people to go on this expedition because it's failed so many times. You're sort of asking people to risk their life, maybe risk the last year of their life, on what seems like a suicide mission, because no one's ever come back from going on this expedition, where they could instead just not go on the expedition and enjoy what they know is the last year of their life, try and find closure. Really fascinating world building. And then wrapped around this is this kind of silly RPG. And I say that in the sense that it is... The fact that this game is French is at times used to beautiful effect. Like, you've got these lovely, beautiful songs being sung in French that are, like, absolutely lovely to listen to. And then you might fight a giant robot mime to win an outfit for your character that is, I'm dressed up like a stereotypical French person. It's called the My Baguette outfit.
It's okay for them to do it.
Its tone is a little all over the place, but it's very clearly French people being like, we recognise that the world sees our culture as beautiful, but also, ha ha ha, we like baguette. And, like, that tonal whiplash is kind of great.
That is good.
it's this wrapped around, like, a JRPG that's maybe the most visually flashy JRPG that I've played outside of an Atlas game.
Right.
Despite being, like, a relatively photorealistic style it's going for, it feels worth comparing to stuff like Persona, Metaphor ReFantazio, in terms of its, like, really stylish UI, its dramatic camera cuts, its big, flashy, dramatic effects as things go off.
Yeah.
All of that is very, very flashy. The combat system, it's one of those sort of basic ones where you do your normal attacks, that gets you meter that you can spend on special abilities. Some of the things I think are interesting about it, you can get items that you equip to your character that give you special buffs or whatever. If you keep them equipped to you for X number of successful combat encounters, that buff just becomes a permanent part of your character without needing to take up a equipment slot. So you're constantly, like, swapping out what gear is on what characters to be unlocking permanent, like, buffs and stat changes for them, which is really cool. I like that. The game's combat does have a big focus on dodging and parrying incoming enemy attacks. And on normal difficulty, the parry window is pretty unforgiving.
Weirdly, that was the first thing I heard about this game, about, like, blocking and parrying being really difficult to time.
Yeah, it's not even that I think it's that difficult. It's more that a lot of enemies have their own unique rhythm to dodging and blocking, and are very specific about what they want. And they don't have, like... In something like Paper Mario RPG, you would have, like, a very clear visual signifier to show you this is when the timing is, and maybe even to show you were you early, were you late with your timing.
Yeah.
This very much requires you to feel it out. And I agree with the complaint I've seen, the criticism I've seen some people make, which is it would be great to be able to have a option in the settings to increase the timing window for parries and dodges separate from changing the difficulty. Because if you change the overall difficulty, it will... If you lower the difficulty, it will increase your parry window, it'll increase your dodge window.
Right.
And I agree, it would be great if you could leave the game on normal, but still change those parry and dodge windows.
What you need is granular difficulty settings.
That is what you need, and that is correct. But I will also say, a lot of people I've seen making this complaint are staunchly refusing to change the difficulty to easy, and complaining, I'm having a great time with this game, but I'm really annoyed about the timings, but I won't change it to easy. If you're in that position, just change it to easy. Be less of a coward about it. Accept that you are not enjoying the timing of the dodge and parry. Play it on easy. The dodge and parry timings are so much more forgiving. I'm having such a much better time playing it on easy.
No, I refuse to be the person that plays on easy.
Yeah, like...
It's a point of pride.
A lot of people I know are point of pride refusing to put it on easy, but continuing to complain about how much...
I don't want to have fun.
Yeah, but complaining about how much the dodge and parry windows are annoying and, like, making them not like the game. And I'm like... I agree with you. Fundamentally, you should be able to change that separately from difficulty. Just accept that you're going to have more fun on easy. Put it on easy.
Yeah.
It's a very fun game on easy. Very intrigued by the narrative. I'm super curious where it's going. I'm only a couple of hours in, but like maybe an hour in, it took a really unexpected turn that I'm very excited about. I was like, Ooh, you're not afraid to take some big narrative swings, are you, game?
Yeah.
But yes, I've heard it's like 35 hours, so I am here for a manageable length commitment JRPG. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a good time so far with Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
Yeah.
What about you? What have you been playing?
Not a lot. I've only just managed to pry myself away from Abiotic Factor, which I've finally seen the ending of.
Yeah, you have.
Creepy Redneck Dinosaur Mansion 3, which we talked about last week that you've been playing, or had played through. I have sunk a good number of hours into this. I'm enjoying it so far. It's a match 3 with special powers, which is becoming more and more common in a lot of match 3s. And just the wildest plot about cancelled games and clowns and an evil version of you that maybe isn't quite so evil and an infinite number of guys called Hunkin.
Yep. A whole bunch of different versions of that character that at different points in development were going to be what that character was going to be.
Yep.
It's almost like a game is not one static thing, it's a whole bunch of things that it was at different times in its history built on top of itself.
Yes, but all that conversation about, like, it was going to be this, it was going to be that, we scrapped that bit, we did this, that, the other. I realise that's quite common with development, but I can't help but think about Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a great game. I think it's definitely worth the money. I see what you mean about feeling like you get past that point from the demo a lot quicker.
Right?
But also, I feel like there's so much I haven't done from there yet.
Yeah, agreed. I can't put my finger on it what that difference in pacing is from the demo.
It's very weird.
Yeah. It feels like they took some stuff from later in the game and put it in the demo to, like, deliberately stonewall you a bit, and they did some funky stuff. I want to go re-look at the demo, having finished the game out of curiosity.
I don't know if the demo's still available, because it was specifically for Next Fest. And then you had to
might be right.
And say, I want the thing.
I mean, that's the thing. You could always email them and be like, I want the thing. You know why.
You know why. But yeah, very, very much enjoying that. It's a good game, and a reasonable cost for many hours of how do I get this trait to do this thing?
Yeah.
To proceed further or go back. I'm in chapter 5. I don't know how many chapters there are.
Yeah.
But enjoying that so far.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you played anything else?
Not that I can talk about at the moment. I've been playing stuff for accessibility coverage, but fun fact, the game I have been playing this week for accessibility stuff, we're going to get to talk about very publicly about our accessibility work on pretty soon. So,
stay tuned.
Yeah, at least one other thing coming that I'll get to talk about soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much everything I played this week.
Well then,
time for this.
Times are tough and life is hard. So we've bred this gigantic kitty that you can put your face in and enjoy all the stuff.
Aww.
Giganto Kitty is good and benevolent and poops only on Elon Musk and pees directly into Jeff Bezos' disaster bunker. Giganto Kitty!
Hey Laura.
Yes?
We've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, do you sometimes find that doors leap out at you?
Oh, completely unprovoked they leap out at me.
Or table legs?
I'm just minding my own business and they brutally attack my feet.
Or a particularly heavy board game that you maybe left slightly out from underneath the table this morning and you nearly actually cracked your toe on it twice because you forgot you'd done it the first time, even though it hurt an awful lot.
No, I didn't forget. It leapt out at me.
Well, this week's sponsor is QuickTimeDefense.lol.net.
Oh, tell me more.
If any of those things have happened to you, this implanted chip in your brain will basically just slow down time.
Ooh.
Just as it detects that you're about to have a bad experience.
Oh, I'm about to walk into that door. Sorry, that door's going to jump out at me.
You're going to drop your favourite cup off the side onto a marble floor.
Oh, that's rough. Okay, so time slows down.
Time slows down, and you get a QTE prompt.
A nice little quick time event.
Yeah, a little QTE.
Yeah.
And it also has settings, so you can turn button mashes into holds.
Ooh.
It's pretty good. So you can avoid walking into a door, stubbing your toe, or on a stable leg, or, smashing your favourite cup.
I mean, theoretically, I can now avoid them.
Yeah.
I do worry that even with slowdown, I will probably fail that QTE.
Probably, yeah.
Now
there's no extended timers.
Now I'm going to walk into that door in slow motion and see myself doing it.
Yeah. Well,
yay!
And people are going to see me flailing around trying to hit the right prompt.
Thanks, QuickTime Defense.
That's QuickTimeDefense.lol.net. Enter the code Q&PS STOP! And you can get 15% off your first 3 months with the app. And chip. So, what have you consumed with your eyes?
Oh, we've been very cultured this week.
Yes, like yogurt.
So cultured. Should we start with the uncultured thing that we saw and then do the culture?
The least yogurty thing.
The least cultured thing we saw this week. We watched the movie adaptation, I say adaptation in a very broad sense, of PlayStation's Until Dawn.
We watched where they used the name and branding Until Dawn.
Peter Stormare, and one guy was wearing a mask that looked kind of like the mask that the villain in Until Dawn wore, kind of.
There's a photograph of Rami Malek in there.
And the word Wendigo came up.
Yeah. It's definitely the same, definitely for realsies.
Yeah, this is not Until Dawn as you know it if you are someone who enjoyed Until Dawn the video game.
Which is weird because, like, the concept on its own works fine.
Yeah.
This is clearly made by people who fucking love horror films, and part of that love comes with the absolutely spectacular death ideas.
Yeah,
and just the fact that it's like, we're doing it on a time loop, but the thing, it's not just a time loop, it's like you're stuck in this amount of time, and if you make it to Until Dawn, you will survive, but like, to keep it scary, and rather than doing the Alien Isolation thing of like, you saw the alien, it killed you repeatedly because you weren't very good, like me, and it stopped being scary, it just became annoying. No, this is gonna like slightly change every night. Will it be witches? Will it be zombies or Wendigos or what do? Or you know, something more peculiar, ghosts. It's gonna keep changing every time, and you're gonna have to work that out.
I don't hate the concept.
No, like, I think if it hadn't been Until Dawn, I think I would have probably had slightly more time for it.
And here's the thing. This film works when it doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah,
because
it's great, like classic horror vibes.
Yeah, when it lets itself be a horror comedy, it's fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, we were pissing ourselves laughing at a couple of points.
That one scene where everyone realizes they're going to die very suddenly over a very small detail.
Yes,
fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's almost like they were like, we're making a horror film. Okay, write down like all the funniest ideas and the best ideas for like what is a thing that will get someone killed or how someone will die, and they had too many ideas for like the number of actors they could afford to put in the film. So they were like, we'll do it on a time loop, but it's different every time, so we can explain like all of these different things.
But it's
happening
in the same place, so we can keep the same set.
Exactly. So we just like keep like there is a point where they just recap deaths from previous time loops.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is a brilliant idea, because you got to do the horrifying thing, but you didn't have to do like a full 10-minute setup for it.
It's such a hard film to nail down the tone of, because some of the time it is this grueling experience of these people like slowly losing their minds as they die again and again, and do they have the mental fortitude to like go through another loop of this knowing that they're gonna die and like not give up. And then some of the time it's like, lol, they're gonna do they're gonna die.
The thing happened.
The thing happened. Like, literally, we were cackling in the front row. Loudly cackling at some of the deaths.
Yeah.
That film does not know what its own tone wants to be. And it's cheap as hell of it to try and tie itself to the game right at the last second and be like, the game might be connected.
Yeah, and then on top of that, because we had to run off somewhere else, like, before we getting to watch the credits, and you were usually people who sit through the credits.
Oh, yeah.
From what I have heard today, they didn't credit any of the people who created Until Dawn.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, how much of this was actually based on their work?
Yeah, but also, like, if you're gonna use the name and
I agree. I'm being facetious.
Yeah, but like, yes, I can see the point. I can also see other people's point about just like credit people for fuck's sake.
It was not a bad time. I've had far worse times with far worse films.
Yeah.
It was just kind of baffling to see that they attempted to sell it as Until Dawn.
Yeah, it had like, all of the connection to Until Dawn that you'd expect from, like, an Uwe Boll movie.
Yes.
But it was actually quite a good horror film.
Yeah.
Not great. Not an all-time great. It wasn't Sinners, but...
Yeah. But yes, other than that, we saw some theatre things.
We saw some
some in the theatre, some not in the theatre.
Some live stream from a theatre.
Yeah, so should we start with Macbeth?
We should start with a Scottish play.
We saw the National Theatre performance of Macbeth.
Yeah, with David Tennant.
Indeed. What did you make of this?
Well, this is the first time I've ever seen Macbeth all the way through. Weirdly, like, it's one of those things that, like, it gets referenced a lot.
You cultural osmosis a lot of Macbeth.
I cultural osmosis a lot of things, and weirdly, like, one of my biggest touchstones for quotes from Macbeth comes from Saints Row 4, because the classical music channel has Zinyak, like, as the DJ on that channel, and occasionally just spouting lines from Macbeth.
A thing that I will say that was really interesting about this performance of Macbeth is, for people who went to see it live at the National Theatre, they had everyone in the audience wear headphones.
Yes.
And that's clearly because they wanted to be able to have the actors on stage be able to do very quiet, subtle performances without having to project to the room.
Yeah, it was quite interesting because you had, like, none of the typical projection you expect from, like, a theatre production. And just, like, occasionally we will have moments where, like, there's two characters just cuddling and then whispering in each other's ears.
And there is something, you don't realise it until you see a performance done this way, that there is something lost when you have to stage project a whisper. That, like, getting to have the nuance of a genuine whisper in someone's ear can really lend something to the performance.
Yeah.
Also, they did great stuff, and I imagine the same is probably true in the live room because of the headphones, with spatial audio of making it sound like whispers and things were coming from around the room.
Yes, you really got the vibe of someone who's becoming quite unhinged, and the whispering of the witches, who you never see.
There were sounds that I genuinely, like, got confused whether they were part of the recording or actual people in the room. Like, sounds like a baby crying or laughter that kept, like, I know that's part of the performance, but also it sounded like it was right behind me in a very convincing way.
It did a great job with, like, sound design stuff, and just, like, the costuming for it, because they were all in black, white, and grey. And mostly Chelsea boots.
Indeed, on a largely just white square in the stage.
A large white raised square stage that had, like, just space under it that you could put some stools around, so it was used, like, variously as a stage or as a table, or as just a thing that people could walk around a few times. And then you had this, like, glass box behind the stage where they were doing little other bits, and sometimes it would be like ramparts of the castle or other rooms,
or just like the rumblings of the community would be there. And then one fascinating use of it right at the end.
Yes,
very impressively done. Yeah, they made great use of that very minimal staging.
Yeah, it was great. It wasn't what I expected, but it was really, really well staged, really well acted. Yeah, I finally saw anything Shakespeare, because for reference for anyone, like, why doesn't Jay know Shakespeare? Like, I know of Shakespeare, I can quote a few things, but, like, I was in the lowest class for English because I was dyslexic, and they weren't willing to do anything about that, so they just put me with the lowest class, because I still don't have great, like, reading. So, wasn't considered good enough to be like, oh yeah, we did Macbeth and To Kill a Mockingbird. It's like, no, we got an Inspector Calls and lots of creative writing.
Taking in Shakespeare is a thing that takes a little getting in the headspace for, I find.
I think especially because so often it is taught so pretentiously.
Yes, and again, I'm a victim of being taught Shakespeare very pretentiously. Is that for many years I was put off of Shakespeare by just a few really bad, very dull performances of it that really put me off, but also teachers that were very obsessed with, like, word for word translations of Shakespeare, and, like, how precisely can you interpret Old English into modern English and sort of correctly understand it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I have found I get on much better with Shakespeare when I you know, anytime I'm seeing a Shakespeare performance, there's about 10-15 minutes where I'm in that frame of mind before it washes away and I'm like, take it in like poetry, take it in like lyricism, let the gist of it wash through you and stress less about the preciseness of every word and let yourself just...
Because you will understand it.
Yeah, go
if you
with...
understand modelling.
Yeah, it's... If you stop stressing about every word, you can sort of flow with it better sometimes. Yeah. And that took me a while with Shakespeare. But yeah, it was a fascinating performance.
Yeah. Where should we move, like, chronologically through theatre history?
I can do, if you like.
So then the next thing we will talk about is we saw the importance of being earnest.
Yes, this was another theatre performance aired in the cinema.
Yes, with Ncuti Gatwa as one of the main characters.
Absolutely stunning. I continue to absolutely love any time that Ncuti Gatwa is in anything.
Yeah, and he looks particularly good in a beautiful flowing pink dress twerking on a piano stool.
Yes.
Yes.
For anyone who knows nothing of this is an Oscar Wilde story.
The last of his drawing room plays.
The shortest way to explain it is someone wishes to get engaged to someone. They've pretended their name is Ernest because they're bride to be absolutely very into the idea
he pretended to be Ernest because he needed an excuse to, like, not tie his good family name and his own good name to his running around in town with Algernon, who is just an absolute cad.
Indeed, but now it turns out, she would not be into you if your name was not Ernest.
She always dreamed of an Ernest.
Always dreamed of an Ernest. If your name wasn't Ernest, that would be a problem. But it's not a problem because your name's Ernest. And then the cascading comedy of errors that evolves from, you told your kind of cheeky friend that you've been lying about your name and that, like, no one must know that you've lied about your name, and your cheeky friend's like, I'm gonna have some fucking fun with this. Cavalcade of nonsense unfolds for a couple of hours. Great performances throughout from the whole cast in this.
Yes. Yeah, they did a great job. Sharon D. Clarke played Lady Bracknell, who is this amazing matriarch, and she really has that, like, black matriarch of the family, like, London grandparent, who just, like, lords the entire family.
Yes.
Daughter-in-laws are terrified, son-in-laws are terrified.
Yeah.
But, like, I saw it described in one review as Bridgerton-style colourblind casting. Like, I don't think the casting. I mean, I don't know for the plot whether it particularly matters.
I can't imagine it would. It would. Yeah.
But yeah, like the cast are great. Yeah. They work really well together. It's fun. It's queer. It's camp and silly,
it plays very knowingly with the queerness inherent in Wilde's work, and the historic, the years of historical context we now have for that. It revels in the queerness.
Yes, yeah, and like also it does it does that thing a little bit like BioShock Infinite of like we're just gonna put like little piano covers of like random modern songs like this. Girls just want to have fun early on, and it's just like fun, just going. Oh, it's that track, which I appreciated.
Yes. Yeah. We mentioned before, Ncuti does such a good job of being the I'm gonna be a cheeky little shit.
Yeah.
Like his entire character is I'm just going to be a little bit of a shit about this.
Yes.
And like he plays it perfectly.
He's an adorable troll. A bitchy little troll.
Hugh Skinner, who plays Jack Worthing.
Yes.
The other sort of main character. Does a great job of being flustered straight man, the least straight man.
Yeah.
But yes, the straight man role, the flustered, oh no, this is all getting a bit out of hand and I don't know how to keep it in control character. They play so well off of each other. They have great chemistry.
Yes. The two love interests, Cecily and
Gwendolyn
are also immaculately played, but there's like just random moments where there appears to be like something going on between the two of them. There's a really beautiful moment where they're in the final act where it's like the interior shot of the Worthington Manor estate, and there's just these two like nude male statues, and Cecily's just like entranced reaching towards a penis.
There's a lot of despite these two heterosexual pairings being paired up, both of the same-sex halves of those pairings have the kind of chemistry where in another world they could very easily have ended up together.
Yeah.
And it's very...
Or that, if in a more modern world they'd end up as just like an amazing polycule of
it's
ridiculousness.
The chemistry is all there. The entire... Well, the first act is very much set up. The second act is almost start to finish. We knocked over the first domino and they're just knocking each other over now for a good hour.
Yeah. Again, like, this is something that I think the only Oscar Wilde work I've read is Portrait of Dorian Gray. And this is certainly funnier than that, because that gets really dark. For all of the problems that one could have with Oscar Wilde, this is a good modern version of it. I believe this originally was recorded in 2024, so I don't know why it's still being shown with a 15-minute interval in the middle.
Yeah.
But either way, it was a lovely time, and I'm glad we got to see it.
Its humour stands up very well in line with, like, modern Radio 4 radio drama.
Yeah, it's
comedy.
got that sort of, like, very British radio drama vibe to it.
Its comedy is very modernly paced.
Yes.
It's held up well.
Yeah, and there's clearly some like extra bits that have been thrown in, or certainly just the way it's performed. Because if you just read it from the script, I'm sure you could take a very different way through that. So well done to the director, I guess, for some of those choices about how it was going to be acted. And I had a great time with it. So the most modern thing we saw was HadesTown.
Yeah, we saw a live performance of HadesTown.
An actual live one in a theatre.
Yeah, I'd been keeping an eye out for affordable tickets for this for a while, and saw some in a good seat at a decent price. We went and saw HadesTown.
We did.
Which is a modern musical adaptation of the story of Orpheus and Eurydice, which, for any that don't know, is basically they fall in love. One of them ends up being dragged to hell. The quest to go down to hell and be like, I'm gonna take you back to the world of the living. Don't care what the boss of hell says.
And the boss of hell says, well, I'll give you a trial because this is a Greek tragedy, so there's got to be a trial.
Yeah. I'm curious what you make of this, because I've been a little obsessed with the music of HadesTown for a while. I'm curious what you made of this.
It's I'm still occasionally finding myself like singing little bits of it.
It's got some very catchy numbers.
Like, I probably couldn't sing you a whole tune yet, but like for someone who had only like heard about it, and hadn't like heard any of the tunes or knew any of it, and I felt like a lot of the people in that audience really knew all of the songs and like every beat of it. It felt like it was like two performances away from people like joining in with some of the cast. It's a really interesting set.
Oh, that set is wonderful.
Yeah, so between like rotating treadmill bits and raising and lowering platforms.
Yeah, there's multiple layers of circular rotating and lifting and lowering stage. Yeah. But also walls that move. While
the band are still in the walls. Like really great performances from everyone. So we had the trombone player did an amazing job, occasionally like up and around. cellists, violinists, guitar, piano.
Absolutely stunning voice choices for a lot of the cast.
Yeah.
Hades has such a...
He's so London, I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, he's really got the vibe of, like, turn-of-the-century industrialist Londoner.
I feel like it's written that way, but the way it was acted felt a lot more like it belonged in a Guy Ritchie movie.
I kind of love it.
Yeah.
He's got this voice that, like, absolutely commands being listened to, and I think it works really well because the way they sort of portray Hades in this is the boss of essentially like a company making machinery, and it's the kind of like, despite the machines churning away, that voice would cut through it, and you'd go, "Oh, I hear the boss. I'm shutting the fuck up."
Yeah, right across the an excellent floor manager.
Yeah, very contrasted with our Orpheus.
Yes.
Again, another regional voice choice.
Yes, it was very Scottish, but I do love a Scots accent.
Yeah. I love their take on Persephone. I think Persephone's like very well handled as a character.
She reminded me very much of someone I used to know. So.
Yeah, wrestling with a relationship that the boundaries that were agreed on have kind of fallen apart a bit.
Yeah. Not even just the boundaries, but the boundaries and like the fact that because the boundaries were as harsh as they were, that resentment has crept in.
Yeah.
And that has soured things on both sides and sort of broken her quite a lot.
Yeah, it's very much like Hades and Persephone's story and Orpheus and Eurydice very much parallel each other, making it all the sadder that it is a Greek tragedy, as it were.
Yeah.
But yes, the music of this musical has been stuck in my head basically since season 2 of Severance was happening, because there was my TikTok feed got very full of HadesTown songs.
It did. There was a lot of that.
Cut with clips from Severance, and I was like, that's kind of similar, huh? Don't like that.
I meant to look up who a Hades actor was because I feel like I've definitely seen them in something else. But had a great time. As usual with old London theatres, because it's showing at the Lyric, it's quite narrow seating for someone with legs as long as I. But definitely more space for seeing that than there was when we went to see Bleak Expectations, where my knees were, like, hard in the chair behind me.
Yeah. So, Hades was played by Chris Jarman. He's been in some Doctor Who stuff. Some individual episodes, but also some podcast stories. He was Bonaparte Baptiste in a Fourth Doctor story pretty recently.
Who's in Hilda?
Yeah, additional voices in Hilda.
Oh, he's Cardinal Rasmussen Gallifrey. I haven't listened to Gallifrey.
He shows up in a bunch of the Doctor Who audio drama stuff over the last few years, it seems, as well as some actual episodes of Doctor Who as well. That might be it.
Yeah, voice appears a lot in random Big Finish productions. Yeah, big booming Londoner.
Indeed. What about you? You put anything else in your eyes this week?
Not in my eyes, strictly speaking, but I have been listening to an audiobook.
Yeah.
I am about 12 or 13 hours into For Whom the Bell Tolls, the audiobook of JC Lynn's book based on her TikTok series, which is Hell's Bells. You've seen some Hell's Bells,
Yeah,
right?
yes I have.
It's about what if there was a help desk in hell for souls who aren't ready to go down to their level and just accept their punishment or the therapy that they need or whatever, and they want to treat it like there's some sort of customer service involved in the universe that they can argue with, and the trolling and the responses and the putting people in their place, and those moments where something happens in the real world and someone horrible dies, and there is very often that conversation, and also when nice people die. Yeah. There was a whole series of everybody went to tequila parties in the afterlife when Jimmy Buffett died, and but also like talking through a lot of like trauma stuff. Like you have people who are either like the characters themselves who are dealing with have dealt with their own trauma or are dealing with their own trauma, or talking about it in a customer service way of like, hey, here's why you've been sent to hell. You could just go down to your level, but this moment right here where you're being like this, or you're using your trauma as an excuse for not like dealing with this stuff properly, and why that isn't healthy. Like this is something that we are going to comment on, and content warning: it's a lot sexier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, because like from what I'm aware of this from the TikTok series, I was not expecting you to get off the train and go, I just listened to a 20-minute sex scene.
I just listened to like 40 minutes of a warm up to and an entire go through of a sex scene. I mean, I guess if I knew more of the books that get read in that series, because there are at least 4 characters on the help desk that always have a book in their hand. A lot of it's fantasy, but I guess there's a lot of fantasy romance in there as well. Like, that's not really usually my genre, but like, sure, it's engagingly written, but like, also content warning, there is, if you have watched any of that series, there is a character who appeared within like the first 400 episodes of that, called Sharky, who was, I don't know if she was 8 in the series, but she's 8 years old, and she's involved in a car accident after sneaking out of the house and trying to go on her own to the aquarium because she wanted to see sharks, because she loves sharks. And that whole storyline is quite heartbreaking in the original TikTok series. It's double heartbreaking when they've got like hours to dwell on it and flesh it out and add extra bits to it.
Yeah.
But it's also very sweet, talking about how, like, I feel like a lot of this is JC trying to work through religious trauma. Like, I think I listened to like another half hour on the way to work this morning, and there was a lot of stuff about like working through religious trauma, and we've got to a point where the main character's basically going through her soul foil with her boyfriend, and going over all of the reasons that she was told by like religious elders within her community about, oh well, you know, like at the age of 4, about like purity culture, and how, you know, if something bad happens to you, that's because you didn't believe in God enough, and that was a wake-up call. And it's like, oh, that's a lot.
Yes, that's a lot.
Yeah. Like, and it
religion will drill some shit into you.
It is, and like, to be fair, like I've watched the TikTok series like constantly, and I've rewatched chunks of it. So like, I appreciate all the stuff about like, hey, like a lot of these first 3 levels of hell are just about therapy, about working through your shit so that you can become a more capable and together person, and you can go back and reincarnate and have a go at being a better person in your next life, and maybe you'll get a paradise next time.
Yeah.
And there have been several times in this where I'm like, Lily, you are clearly traumatized. Why didn't you use some of the facilities of hell and just go to therapy?
That requires you to acknowledge that you have a problem, and it's easier to fix other people's problems and not deal with yours.
She has spent so much time just going, I am the problem, I have all of these problems, and I am completely unlovable because of all the problems I have. Lily, go to therapy! But yeah, we've got to a point now where like she's dating Belle, and she's basically adopted Sharky as a child, and they're kind of like co-parenting. But there's like a whole bunch of extra stuff about Belle's job as a general of hell, as like a demon prince, and because that's not really talked about in the series. Like, we know he's a general, we know he's important in like Hell's Legions, but I guess to add some extra like drama and tension to the overarching story, we have like these invading forces from other universes that are basically here to try and drink the soul juice out of our universe and leave it a husk of nothing. And all of the hey, well, the mortal souls will regenerate if they're injured. It'll hurt, but they'll regenerate. But the demons, they just die. They're immortal, but they, like elves in Tolkien stories, they're immortal, but they can die in battle. It's a really fascinating story, and if you don't mind the sex, or the religious trauma, or the fact that you are almost certainly going to cry quite a lot, but for a number of reasons throughout, then yeah, I'd definitely check it out. It's available as an ebook, a paperback, and as an audiobook. They've got some very good voice actors for that. Yeah. So that's what I've put in my eyes/ears. What about you? Got anything else?
We did watch a pilot for an interesting animated show.
We did.
We watched the pilot for The Gaslight District, which
this is the new Glitch Studios.
Yeah, this is the people behind most recently the Amazing Digital Circus.
Yes.
Absolutely fascinating pilot, this.
Yeah, it's setting up a huge amount of story.
Yeah.
And not all of it is, like, very explicit.
So, art style-wise, the closest thing I would compare it to was something like the recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated film.
Yeah, it's kind of got that 3D, but, like, just drawn over it.
That sort of Borderlands shading style.
Yeah.
But over very fast-moving, fluid...
I'm not even sure if it's 3D. I really cannot tell.
It's clearly 3D underneath it, but, like, they swap back and forth between a sort of stop-motion almost frame rate, and sometimes, like, completely the other end and, like, hyper frame rate animating it.
Yeah.
The best I can summarize the overall idea of the plot is, down in essentially hell, there is a prophecy that a human will be born out of an egg, and that will fuck up eternity for all of the demons in hell, and one of our cast of characters is that human.
Yes, beware of the child with the black blood.
Yes, and she and her small group of friends who know she's a human are like, I got an idea, let's go steal just a egg.
Angel egg.
Angel egg from heaven, and we'll, like, paint on it so it looks like it's the human egg, and we'll destroy it, and then everyone will be like, hooray, 1,000 years, no human egg, and no one will think to suspect I'm a human if I very publicly destroy the human egg.
Yeah, meanwhile, angels are like these vulture creatures with, like, camera eyes.
And there are these, like, humanoid robots that exist as a part of the sort of heaven hierarchy.
Yeah, and I can't tell if they've got, like, real police vibes / paramilitary force.
Yeah, and it very much structures itself like a heist movie.
Yes.
This pilot episode, in terms of, like, betrayals and shootouts and car chases and everyone's got a job on the team, everyone go into your squad, screw the plan, we gotta change the plan now.
And also, like, dramatic, like, there's past between these characters.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
It's incredibly dense and fast-paced for, like...
Yeah, it's quite exhausting to watch.
There is no breathing room, it just goes, lore dumping at you constantly.
I don't know if it's going to slow down in later episodes, but, like, it's quite manic. It's good for the ADHD.
It really feels like, oh god, we only have budget for 20 minutes left of this film, fuck it, we gotta wedge some stuff in. But from the pilot... It feels like they were running up against a deadline with only a certain amount of animation available for a thing that clearly that wasn't the context for.
I mean, who knows? Who knows if this isn't just someone with quite seriously untreated ADHD who's like, all of the things, throw all of the things in, more things.
It very much does not feel internet video animation budget.
No.
It feels like it outpaces its origins in terms of budget and presentation.
No, but in a good way, and it kind of reminds me how, like, oh god, probably a terrifyingly long time ago, probably 15 years now, Channel Federator tried to be like, we're gonna be Cartoon Network on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we need, like, all of the views and therefore all of the ad revenue to make this work. And eventually going, we couldn't make this work.
Yeah.
And we're switching to a different model, which was a shame because I enjoyed shows like Bravest Warriors and I think Manly is a really great pilot and I wish more had been done with that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like it's nice to go, you've got something like Glitch, who, for all the people who joke about the fact they've constantly got merch of like every little thing from their shows, if that's what it takes to keep that really good animation going and people are interested in it, then I'm glad someone's found a way to make really good animation work on YouTube.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
But so yeah, amazing. Give it a look. It's obviously available for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, see what you think.
Also, this is a weirdly great time for YouTube animation getting like proper budgets to be able to like spin out into proper series. For all the problems that grumble Amazon. Has Been Hotel has been greenlit for multiple seasons by Amazon.
I didn't realize it was Amazon.
Apparently Amazon picked it up and are funding it, and have also picked up another show from that set of creators to fund as well. Hooray for YouTube animation getting the budgets to really go all out.
Yeah, yes, for all the problems with all the various people, I am glad that it is possible to have a sustainable life animating things on YouTube. Also, I'm glad that didn't Glitch Studios adopt the Amphibia creator?
Yes, I believe their next project is coming from Glitch.
Yeah,
and that's again pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm ready for rainbow lesbian weirdness that seemed to be.
Yeah.
Have you watched anything else?
That's about it for me.
Well then,
time for this.
Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, I think it's fair to say, have the biggest game coming out this year. We got Grand Theft Auto 6. It's coming. It's coming as soon as we can get the everyone to work. Their 48-hour days. 15 days a week. Crunch period done. It'll be ready to go.
I am very disappointed that they haven't found a way to fit more hours in the day.
Look, if they work twice as hard, it's like they found twice as many hours in the day, so make it work twice as hard, I say.
That's why everything in the vending machine is packed with extra caffeine.
Exactly, and the other chemicals we don't admit to putting in there.
Yeah.
But, here's we have the biggest game of this year. I've been thinking it. I think there's something pretty fun we could do.
Right.
So, I've been keeping an eye on the internet, and apparently all the other game companies are holding off on announcing their release dates because they don't want to accidentally release too close to us.
Right, yeah.
So, here's what I reckon.
Right.
We deliberately wait.
Yeah.
We wait, and we wait, and we wait. We wait to the point that they eventually have to just announce their release dates.
Right.
Because, they're not us. They have to announce them at some point.
And we have the money to sustain.
Exactly. So, once that's done, we pick whatever game we want to see fail from one of our competitors the most.
Yeah.
And we announce that we are releasing on the exact same day as them. Absolutely, we just completely step on their release day.
Yeah. And I guess we've got alerts set up on online. And if we could do it within, say, 20 minutes of their announcement.
I think we can do it even faster than that. I think we have the thing ready to go, and as soon as Ninja's Creed gets its release date announced, we just have someone ready to hit the button. Within seconds, we've announced. Actually, that's our release date. Sorry, we're better.
You are a fucking genius.
I know.
Is your cat shedding?
Yes!
Is your home more fur than home?
Yeah!
Then try this amazing static-powered ceiling attachment that sucks pet fur into the ceiling so it's not all over your floor, furniture, shelf, and shelf.
I mean, it's out the way at least.
It's up for above. That's up for above. Give this a try. Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Virtual Justice Warriors.
Virtual Justice Warriors?
Yeah.
All right, Barry. How you doing?
Oh, here. You alright?
About the same. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting annoyed by a thing this week.
Which thing?
Oh, I was getting annoyed by I was getting a lift somewhere, getting in an elevator, and you know, it's just I don't particularly like heights. Didn't want to go up to the escalators.
The escalator over the void.
Over the void, yeah.
Like, I don't mind an escalator. I'm perfectly fine with an escalator as long as there's something underneath it.
Escalator over a void's a bit much, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, it's just a 3-story drop. And you'll happen to be particularly clumsy.
So, you know, trying to get the elevator up, and could only get the elevator so far up. Couldn't get it quite as far up as needed.
Yeah, button there.
Yeah, the button just wouldn't work. You know, it turns out what you need to do is you need to get the elevator to a floor, and then go find a member of staff to get permission, and they'll turn a key so you can get the elevator the rest of the way up.
Why do they not simply have another member of staff at the top of the elevator to, you know, do whatever it is that would, you know, mean that you needed to check in with the first person?
Yeah, it's very clearly trying to avoid, you know, having an additional member of staff. I get that. But it feeds into a culture of how accessibility is often thought about, which is this sort of assumption that disabled people should expect that they're going to have to go get a non-disabled person's assistance to engage with accessibility and to get about their day.
Yeah, like you see it a lot with lifts. Like, we have wheelchair access to our building that's, you know, entirely marble stairs out front. Well, we have one, but you will need to press this button and wait for someone to come out, and they will unlock it and, you know, just make it available to use.
Yeah, you see it with, you know, trains often, where it's like, you got to pre-call and say, I'm going to get on this train. Can you make sure someone is there to put the ramp out? And I'm going to be getting off at this station at this time. Can you make sure there's someone to put the ramp out?
Yeah, and then, you know, very often one of those people isn't actually there, and you have to be wrestled off a train by members of the well-meaning members of the public. You know, potentially, you know, damaging your wheelchair, or you know, or even then just abandoning you on a platform, which you find out the lifts aren't working to.
Exactly, and like it's why it's so important to have, you know, accessibility stuff that can be operated by the user who needs it. Like, if you were to build a new train today, I think it would be, you know, a thing that you should probably do is have a ramp built in at each door that can be, you know, you press a button on the train and it puts the ramp out.
Well,
you know,
no, not even that. I mean, you look at like the Croydon Tramlink, or the DLR, or the Elizabeth line.
Well,
like, just make it flush to the platform.
That's it. If we're talking new train and, you know, new station, make the two flush to each other. But I mean, you know, at the very least, having, you know, the ability to go, I would like this is going to require a ramp, and I would like the ramp deployed to be something that could be user operatable by, you know, the disabled person who needs it. You know, rather than, because, like, you know, trains are a great example of this, because, like, so often wheelchair users will talk about the fact that it's like, I can't spontaneously just go, oh, actually, I'll pop into town. I'll just get on the train. It has to be pre-prepared, and someone non-disabled has to agree to be there and to offer you that assistance, and that is seen as adequate in a world where, like, no, you should just be able to as casually rock up at a place and do a thing without needing to ask someone's help, as, you know, someone non-disabled would be able to.
You know, because even if we're talking about, like, trains, or buses even, which, you know, have the built-in ramps, it needs to be something that is quicker and more convenient than that, because the number of times, like, the bus is too far away from the curb for the ramp to work, or there's you've got a driver who's not willing to move people who are just standing in the wheelchair spot.
It's autonomy. It's making sure that, like, reasonable, timely autonomy is available. You know, rather than we've got a solution, it'll do. You know, is not good enough, really.
No. Yeah, and, you know, once again, all of this needs to be designed with, you know, the people who are most affected by it in mind, and, and keep them as part of the conversation.
Indeed.
Fancy hug, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Good luck, mate.
Good luck.
Right, I think we'll go and have a little lie down.
Oh, sounds lovely.
Nice.
So, Laura,
Yes.
you do stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
If people wanted to find that stuff on the internet, where they go?
They would go to Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere on the internet. Laura K. Buzz on Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills. Laura K. Buzz on Blue Sky. Laura K. Buzz on YouTube, that's where most of my stuff gets posted. Just Laura K. Buzz, you'll find all the stuff I'm up to. What about you, Jane? Where are you out on the internet?
I have a link tree. It's linktree.ee/Janiac, Janeiac. You can find all the things that what I do. Not doo-doo. You can't find my doo-doo. That's not available online unless... New Patreon tier? Who knows? Patreon.com/StoneMonkeyRadio. As little as $1 a month really helps. And more than $1 a month, who knows? Pooh? No. Definitely not. I don't know where I'm going with this. I've become very silly. Laura, will you sing us out, darling, before it gets too weird?
Until next time, be a stranger. How high would that tier need to be for you to go? I mean, maybe.
Feet pics when?